what? 50, 10 in each city, which would be 50. And then he starts with maybe there's 9 in each city, correct? Plus Hashem. Hashem will fulfill the chesaron. And so on down to the fact that he can't even save one of the cities. Right? And he asks Hashem, if you'll have even, 9 people, according to Rashi, he tried everything, including this ploy. He says, let's say one of the cities there's 9 people, plus you, Hashem, would you save that city? And Hashem says, of course I would. But there weren't 9 people. How many were there maximum? 8. So Chazal say, Avram made the following cheshbon. Well, 8 people was Noach and his family, right? Noach, his wife, that's 2. 3 sons, plus their wives, is 6. 2 and 6, 8. If the 8 people couldn't save the world, then it's not saved. Then I can't go further than that. Avram stops davening, and the pasuk says that Hashem, the court, the divine court, goes further and continues with the destruction of Sodom. What's the big question here? But Avram, you're supposed to exceed Noah, right? Keep davening. Why don't you just say, if there's 1 person there, or even if there's no people there, but maybe they will do tshuva. Why did Avram stop at 8? Did anybody ever think of that question? Why stop? Keep going. What do we care about Noah? Noah is a different story. Okay. So herein lies, it's a very difficult question. You ever heard that question before? Why did Avram stop? What's wrong with you, Avram? You're the Baal Tefillah. You're the master of Tefillah. Keep davening. It says Avram halach l'makomo, and then Hashem went on his way, and that was the end of Sodom. Now, his tefillos did help in one way. What did his tefillos help? Save who? Lot. How many people was Lot supposed to be? 8. Right? It was going to be Lot, his wife. It was 3 daughters and 3 sons-in-law. It's a big problem. The sons-in-law right away didn't want to come. Lot's wife doesn't make it past turning around. So we're down to 4, right? What happened to Lot's other daughter? Does anybody know what happened to Lot's other daughter? Interesting question, right? There are theories about that. It could be that she was lost with the mother. It makes sense. She was close to her mother, or whatever solution there is that leaves us down to 3. So Avram, however, created a potential, at least like Noah, to save the 8. But why didn't he go beyond that? So it seems that here we realize some important, powerful principle of prayer. That in order to rise above the teva, you must have a minyan. There's something called a minyan. The 10 spheros are a unit. If you can't dig up 10 people, even if you'll call them 9 plus Hashem, who's the melech, on some level, like give the bar mitzvah boy a sefer Torah and count them in the minyan. There's been places that do that. It's certainly not ideal. There's nothing to talk about. We can't save the world. The world is a world of 10. The world is the Esher Sfiros. The world is a reality. You can't save a world of 10 with less than 10. Because when 10 Jews or 10 mispalalim would come together, and that's what really Avram was trying to do, was to see if the nations of the world could also have the koach to form a minyan. And he came to the conclusion that they did not have the koach. They are not considered, how shall I say, a minyan. They're every man to themselves. Although there are nations, but in the realm of Hashem's divine order, they are all individuals. We say chasidei umos ha'olam. Individual chasidim will make it to Gan Eden, never a whole country. Never a whole country. Right? Because they don't have the concept of tzibur. Avram realized at this juncture that one of the big changes that was going on is that in order to be in Eretz Yisroel, you need an Am Yisroel. Minimum 10. Whenever there's 10 Jews together, something happens. The Shechina is present. Because each one represents Ki'ilu, one element of Hashem. That means Hashem's presence is tam, is shalem, is complete. There we go. The Shechina is here. But you cannot do that without. So one of the secrets of Eretz Yisroel, and this, the Meshech Chochmah, others people talk about this, is that Eretz Yisroel requires tefillah. There is no getting past it. It's like we say to somebody, you're in trouble, you better daven, right? There's a certain point where human technology, chachma, the fingers can only go so far. The rest is the peh. What Avram came to understand the minute he crossed the border of Eretz Yisroel, because it says, Vayelech ito Lot, this the Meshech Chochmah says, Lot, when he entered Eretz Yisroel with Avram, was the same. Look what happened to him. Look what happened to Lot. He went through the same things as Avram. He went to Mitzrayim. He was pretty good in Mitzrayim. He got Ashirus, comes into Eretz Yisroel, and what happens to him? He starts saying, this land belongs to me. He loses the perspective. He doesn't have... The Roe Avram and the Roe Lot had this argument. Avram said, it's our land, right? Because it's Hashem's private domain. The difference between Eretz Yisroel and all the other territories of the world, and this Olam HaKubalim and Sefer Kedoshim explain, is that every country has a designated sar, has a, what do you call it, angelic force or power that controls it. That's why Germans are very, perfectionist, because that's their sar. That's the nature of that place. Yekish. They can't help it. Mexicans, they're asleep. They can't help it. That's their sar. Sombrero, Tijuana. What do you want from them? That's the nature of that place. Japanese, the nature of that place. I'm not being racist here, chas v'shalom. But actually, that this is a divine koach. Hashem has all different sorts of needs for unique types of kochos in the world, and each nation has its own koach. But where is the central place from whence all those kochot emanate? Yerushalayim. The Ramchal teaches us, and this is a huge important principle in this week's parasha. Avram keeps wandering where? He comes in to Eretz Yisrael, he goes to Shechem, and then he starts heading towards Beit El, which was affiliated in Yaakov's dream. To where? Har HaMoriah, right? It was a station point in where the ladder was. And he keeps wandering Hanegba. What is he looking for, according to Rashi? He's looking for the place that he would eventually find at the end of Parshas Vayera, which is Har HaBayis, where the Akedah is performed. Avram's complete 10. The shlemus of Avram is at that location where the Akedah Yitzchak takes place, which he finally discovers at the very end of the Parsha and right before the death of Sarah, which basically terminates the lifetime of Avram Avinu, except to do what? Except to bury her. And after that, he had Keturah as a wife, whose children, if you say it's Hagar, whose children also have a bris. Did you know that? According to Rashi, not according to Rambam, not according to Rashi, the children that Avram has with Hagar subsequently, after Sarah's death, also have a modicum of Kedusha. They have to do a bris milah, but we don't know where they are. They're all mixed up and they're lost within their general Ishmaelites. And even though Yishmael had a bris milah, which is problematic, which is why we're suffering today, because his bris milah represents the power of tefillah. Because what do we do at a bris milah? Mitzitza be peh. The symbol is the source of human creativity and procreation is akin to their mouth. Just like Hashem created with words, human beings are unique in that we speak. Our creativity is mitbateh, our yitziratiyut, our ability to accomplish is all based on our koach hadibur, right? And the bris milah represents the ability to channel that dibur towards tefillah. Tefillah and milah are one concept, and it also is reminiscent of the Keres Yitzchak. That every time a father brings a child to a bris milah, he, for lack of a better terms, is offering his child up because you don't know what's going to be, and he's putting him under the knife, And it's his mitzvah to take his knife to the child. Interesting. Just like Avrohom was commanded to take a knife. And you know what that knife is called? It's a double-edged knife. It's called cherev pipiot, a double-edged sword. Peh. The power of it is peh, right? The milah is an opening, like a mouth is an opening. We have to open it up, right? That opens our ability to create and be godlike, just like this is the other organ, which is our power to be godlike and to create, is our mouths. But how? Only through davening. Hence, towards the end of the parsha, when Sarah is kidnapped by Avimelech, we see both Sarah and Avram using tefillah. Sarah, Rashi tells us, based on the Midrashim, that she said, Hakeh! If anybody was starting up with her, she would open her mouth and say, Malach, zap this guy. Boom. And they saw that Sarah had koach tefillah, and they were scared of her, and Avimelech goes running to Avram and saying, you know what's going on in our family? There's no procreation going on. Their peh was stopped. By the way, it's a deeper concept, but ideally, a couple shouldn't have relations until they speak, until they come into some sort of joyous conversation in words of love. It starts with words, and then it consummates later. But one without the other is not where it's at. Okay, so the koach hapeh. Sarah had it. She strikes down the whole family of Avimelech. No one can even go to the bathroom. They're completely blocked up until Avram comes and davens for Avimelech. And Avimelech is cured. Only through how? Avram's tefillos. Who tells him to go to Avram and daven and ask Avram to daven? Avimelech. What is Hashem showing Avimelech? You are not Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu is Heye Bracha. I gave him the power. What's davening is mainly comprised of what? Brachas. Right? Shiras v'tishbachos. What is davening? It's a bracha. And it brings bracha, it brings blessing. That's the whole point of davening, to bring blessing. Noach only said one thing. What did Noach say in his lifetime? Noach has no talking parts. He does a lot of doing stuff. He does a tremendous amount. But talking, what does he say? He curses. He curses. Right? He curses Canaan, over Canaan. That's not what Hashem intended. Hashem intends, especially in Eretz Yisroel, there's an operational reality that's called koach habracha, koach hatefillah. Why? Why? Because every nation in the world has its own sar, its own minister. But Eretz Yisroel has no minister. You know, like lahavdil in the Israeli government, you can be the prime minister can have several portfolios. You know, he can be minister of defense and minister of this. He can do anything himself, right? So Hashem kept the portfolio of Eretz Yisroel for himself. Because this is mine. Eretz Yisrael is mine, operates by my rules. And my rules are Bris Milah, Lemala min hateva, the eighth day. Okay? The above Teva. And you want to know how it works? Gadam. So you know what? It's a tremendous insight. I think, in terms of giving people chizuk, Eretz Yisrael is a place that's miyuchad for tefillah. They say all the tefillos go from Hebron up to Shemayim. We daven towards where? Why? Because that's the only place in the world, right, where it's not under the jurisdiction of the angels of the Umos Ha'olam. And that's where we can have a direct connection to Hashem. All our tefillos have to go up. In Hebron is the stepping path to Yerushalayim. Through the Avos, connect us to the Har Moriah, up to Shemayim. So if people are having difficulty on any area, and Eretz Yisrael in particular presents its various challenges, the answer is one thing, not to be more clever. It's to daven. Daven. Just daven. The solution is only davening. There is no other solution. And of course, in order to daven properly, and in order to use your words properly, there's an important principle, which I will introduce to you, and just as our time is running out, but I promise you we'll go into more next week. There is a method of davening, and the purpose and the primary requisite of it is to be able to bless things, right? In order to bless things, you have to see good, right? When you see something evil, you want to curse it. When you see something good, you want to bless it. How are you going to daven without the ability to see good? To see the good in every situation, in every person, in every reality. This is another Torah from Reb Nachman. Apparently they say about it in the literature that he said, if you learn any one of my Torahs, learn this one. We'll go over it. It's Torah 282, Reish Pei Beis, and it's the very first halacha that's discussed by his primary student, Rav Nassan of Breslov, in the laws. What he did is he wrote like a Shulchan Aruch of Chassidus. You know, how do you combine the mitzvos with the beautiful concepts of Chassidus? Now, you're going to do Netilas Yadayim, but what's the deeper meaning of it? You're going to get up in the morning, but what's the deeper meaning of each mitzvah in Shulchan Aruch? Every single mitzvah that we do. How do you open it up to that next level? Okay, so we'll go over that. But so let's just do a summary. I promised you about Bilam and Rachel. Rachel Imenu stands at the border of Eretz Yisroel. Her yard says this week, and what does she do? Only one thing. She davens. Rachel Mavaka al B'neho. She's davening and davening, and she never stops davening because she knows that Eretz Yisroel is the portal of Tfilos. She's literally at the border of Eretz Yisroel. She's almost at the border of Yerushalayim, because Beit Lechem to Yerushalayim, as we all know, is a contiguous border. Do you ever go, just past Kever Rachel? There's a big sign over there. You know what the sign says? There's two signs. One is, don't go over here. If you're a Jew, you're going to get killed. That's one sign. Don't go through the checkpoint over there. And the other sign is, welcome to Yerushalayim. That's where we are. We're at the boundary point, literally at the boundary point. And Rachel stands there and davens, Rachel Mavaka Baneha. And that's really what our koach is, to get Klal Yisrael back to the matzav of being tamimim. Tammim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. That mitzvah of tamimus, according to Chazal, also means not to look into the future using astrology. Tammim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. Stop worrying about the future. Just daven to Hashem. Hashem can overrule Ein Mazel Yisrael. But Yisrael has to be a unit of 10. When you say Ein Mazel Yisroel, we're talking about a minyan. We're talking about a tzibur. We're talking about a community. So it's not only your individual prayers, but your prayers for Klal Yisrael. Rachel Mevake Al Baneha, not on herself. Was she crying, I want to see my children? No, she's crying for her children, right? Okay, and as we don't have time to go into now, but next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, the opposite of this, the polar opposite of this, the exact opposite of Avram as the Baal Tefillah is who? Who in Pirkei Avos is the arch nemesis, the opposite of Avram Avinu? Bilam. And who is Bilam? Bilam, according to Chazal, the Merper Chelik, is Lavan and Ben Ba'or. It's all one family. Lavan, Bilam are all one. And soon Lavan's coming up in the Parshios. But what that means is, what did Bilam try to do to the Bnei Yisrael? Find the bad and curse it, right? His attempts are incredible. All the different angles that he looked at to find something bad. Mirosh Yitzurim, let me look at their history, their past. Let's look at, he focuses on Ched Egel, let's focus on that. And no matter what he does, Hashem protects Klal Yisrael and boomerangs them into brachos. Brachos, klolos. That's what Avram is. It says, Va'avarcha mevarechacha u'mekalelcha aor. And that's the mechanism by which if Hashem says, if Avram will make a bracha on somebody, this is what Chachma says, and then it works, then other people are going to want brachos, right? And then they're going to bless Avram. It becomes a multitude of brachos. But if somebody is cursed, nobody wants to affiliate with a curse. It ends right there. It has no life. It has an end. But bracha is mitzrabah. Okay, so what we have learned today is Avram in this journey between Lech Lecha and Varera discovers himself as Avraham, which means the Baal Tefillah, his power of prayer. At the end we see Sarah also demonstrates the Koach Tefillah, and then comes the birth of Yitzchak. Up until that point, there could be no Yitzchak. Okay, until they both achieve their top Once Avram really davens for Avimelech, and Avimelech is healed, miraculously healed, now we're ready. Now we got Klal Yisrael finding the bracha and turning those brachos into tefillah. Okay. L'chaim.
What is